Welcome to the I Am the Worst Parent Ever podcast with Nicole Merritt and Dr. Robert Zeitlin.
Hey, Robert, how are you?
I'm good, Nicole. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you.
I'm excited. We have our first question from our audience.
Oh, yay.
So you ready?
All right, let's hear it.
Okay. This is from a mom who is tired of seeing other parents bad-mouthing their kids, but even worse, in front of their kids. Like, her reaction is, could you just spell that? I mean, they're standing right there. Like, how do you say that to a parent that, you know, you don't say that in front of your kids?
Right, so I hear that. So admittedly, I know when my children were younger and could not spell that I'm sure my husband came home and I said, she's been B-A-D today. You know, I am 100% sure that has happened. I am very conscious and very aware, as I think many of us should be, to label our children. I've heard enough people talk about it. I've read enough, parenting books to know you
should or you shouldn't label?
That you should not.
Okay.
You never ever call a child bad, right? It's their behavior. It was the action. It's not them as a person. I know that. But still, I will, on occasion, call one of my children Wreck-It Ralph. Because, every store we go into, something almost breaks or does break. A bowl in a china shop. We all like to say to each other, you're driving me crazy. Like, we do the whole symbol, like, you driving me crazy. Like, you're cray-cray. So as with everything, there's a balance. What do you think about the labeling? Is there a balance, or should it just be a clear-cut no?
Well, I mean, I think one of the themes that we keep coming back to is being real. So let's be real and let's be honest. Sometimes, especially in shorthand between you and your spouse or you and your family, like kids get labeled, unfortunately. Like I think this parent was saying, don't say that in front of your kids. But I think maybe kids still know, kids probably know who they are. Like, I'm the bad kid, I'm the smart kid, I'm the easy kid. Like, I don't know. I think the hard part is actually not getting to the label. And like you said, you focus on the behavior, you try to see the best in the kid. But there are times, I have parents telling me this all the time, where kids just get under their skin. It's just, sometimes it triggers in us the worst, not the best parenting moment.
Right. And I think that's something, it's an authentic, thing that's going to happen with anything challenging. The same thing, if your boss gave you a hard time, you're going to label your boss. It happens everywhere. Inside of the home, it's harder because there's, impressionable little people who have their eyes and ears on you at all the time. I think that there's a difference. I think that sometimes you telling somebody something can make them more aware of things, like of something about them. Me telling my son, hey, Wreck-It Ralph, like, he knows the correlation because he's seen it, and then I follow it with, you need to be more focused, you need to be more careful. If you break something, we're going to get kicked out of here. I don't say it to be hurtful. And if he were to ever tell me that it was hurtful, I would absolutely stop. But I think that occasionally defining their behavior in a way, that they find funny or they understand, which may be a little, should I have said that? I think it depends on your child and their personality and the relationship you two have.
I think that's a great example. I think there's times where you're trying to communicate something with your kid and you're not necessarily labeling them to sort of push them aside or kind of put them in a box, but you're actually trying to communicate with them and trying to connect with them in a humorous way. And I think the same is true on the negative side, like those parents that get really exasperated with their kids and get to the point where they're, I've had moms say even, and dads, I'm afraid that people are starting to think that I don't like my kids, because I need to vent about this so much. I need to talk about it because, we're really riding out these, terrible 2, terrible 3s, and it's a rough time. And, how do I get to the point where people aren't looking at me like I'm, not just a bad mom, but like a sort of angry at my kids, don't like my kids parent?
Right. But I mean, I do think there's a line. If I were to walk into Target and hear a mom berating her child, or, I just can't stand you, or whatever it is, I would be kind of looking over, I shouldn't be judging because I've been there. But it just kind of, it's something we unintentionally do. I think that for those that are feeling like that all the time, that have that like, oh, I can't stand you all the time, they need to find something, whether it's a book that brings them joy on how to find the joy in stressful times, or it's a parenting book on new strategies. But you have to, I think you have to curb that, because that can very quickly go somewhere where it shouldn't.
Yeah, I think having, not to sound like the doctor here, but maybe there's an opportunity in that, like working through your frustration with a 2-year-old or a 6-year-old or a 14-year-old, actually does give you an opportunity to actually work through something and get to a higher level in your relationship, right? But you have to do the work. How do you do the work? You sit down with a 14-year-old and you hash it out. You set boundaries and they fight against the boundaries, and then, you end up working that through. But with a 2-year-old or 3-year-old, it takes a lot of patience. You end up doing a lot of the work. Like, I think that's the hard part for young parents, is there's a lot more emotional labor that you have to do because the 2 and 3-year-old's brushing it off.
Right. But I mean, that's like, I guess I would say, like, I get frustrated with parents who don't want to put in the work. And there's days I'm frustrated with myself because I know that I'm not putting in the work that I should. But I have seen in my own life with my own family, when I pause to connect, there's bad behavior going on, but I take the time to connect, there is improvement. Like I'm sure there's a million studies that prove connection, will lessen some of the behavior.
Yeah. Someone said it's very hard to hate someone up close. It's very hard to like have those feelings, having that connection, finding a way to connect. And I hear it. I hear certain parents responding to me and saying, the last thing I want to do is connect. I'm just working to get through the day. I just need to I need to survive these next few moments and, get to the point where my spouse comes home and they can take them off my hands because I'm pulling my hair out and I feel horrible about it. And I think that's the added stress. Like we were talking about stress before, that added stress of this sort of guilt that comes along with, I should be doing this better. I should be able to laugh. I should be able to connect and love my kid no matter how frustrated they make me. And I think that's what I'm hearing from parents is like, how do I do that? Because right now I'm not feeling that at all.
Right. But I think if you're not feeling that at all, or if like our question that came in, if you are completely at your wit's end and everything we're saying here, you're like, but I don't want to connect. I'm too frustrated to connect. I don't have the time to connect, or whatever it is. Then in my personal opinion, you need to seek help sounds bad, but I think that you need to talk to somebody about how you are feeling, because the only way to move out and move forward is for you to be an active participant in this, or it's going to go nowhere fast, or maybe something else is going on that you need to figure out. But you can't just say, I'm at my wit's end, that's it, I'm done. Like, that's not, you didn't become a parent to say that.
Let's talk about the different ways that seek help looks like. Obviously I'm a psychologist, I'm a doctor, I work with parents. Seeking help makes total sense to me. Like, parents that come and see me get a lot of benefit from it. And I think there's a lot of there's a lot of wisdom in actually getting some perspective. But I think seeking help can look like a lot of different things. First of all, if the parents and the other people that you usually talk to are not sort of adding to and not helping you move along or move from this point, what else can you do from a sort of support network place?
Right. I mean, you need to surround yourself or find that one person where you can vent, but that they are not going to let you wallow in it. They are going to help you figure out an effective and realistic way to move forward. Me going to talk to Sally to complain all the time, and then all Sally does is complain back to me, and we just complain. Like, we're not doing anything to help each other. Like, it feels good in the moment, but then I go back to the situation and I'm still unhappy and still upset. And I think I said, leave help because I didn't know how that sounded, or get help because I didn't know how that sounded, because some people, there's a stigma attached to it. Oh, I have to go talk to somebody, about my problem. That means something's wrong with me. Like, oh, what if people knew that I went and talked with somebody? There's a lot of that. Oh,
there's more than just that stigma of I went and talked to somebody. I'm letting someone into my house, like someone's going to judge me as a parent. What if, like you said, it turns out that there's something wrong with me, and then all of a sudden I went in for one thing and now I'm getting, help for some problem that I have that I didn't even know about.
Right.
Why can't I manage this myself? There's a lot of like ideas out there that we should be able to handle this stuff ourselves or heal ourselves. And also, like, my parents never did this. Like, why do I have to deal with this stuff?
Right. I mean, I think that it's so easy for me to say, right? Because I'm not our listener, and I didn't submit the question. I don't know how she's feeling every day. So please, I make that clear that I don't know. I'm not in your situation. But, I would say, okay, you're always calling your kid a terror or a this or that. Seriously, write down a list of words. Instead of brat, I can say this. Instead of terror, I can say challenge. Write out how you're going to respond. If he touches the outlet, I'm going to say, what is it about the outlet that makes you curious? You want me to show you a picture of an outlet on the phone? Here's what happens if you touch an outlet. Find a way to connect. Why is he playing with the baby toys? Let's see. Oh, you like this? What is it about this that you like? Is it the texture? Is it, but you have to try. You have to try. You have to pull that energy. I know that there's none left, but you got to dig deep and find some and figure it out.
Yeah, I like the idea about having a friend with whom you can vent, but also who's not going to just wallow in it with you. Because that's the model that you need to help you so you can be that person for your kid. Okay? So being the bottom line in all of this is, if you're out trash talking your kid in front of your kid, like you said, things are off kilter. Something's up, and you need to figure out a way to reclaim your place as the calm adult in the room. Because if you're not the calm adult in the room, who's going to be? And I hate to say this, but it happens sometimes that the kid ends up having to do that. The parent isn't sort of taking the high road, so someone's got to grab the wheel. And there's a lot of cases where kids end up grabbing the wheel and sort of managing the family or trying to keep things calm or keep things on track. And that ends up going really badly. I can't imagine a situation where that actually goes anything but bad. So like you said, find someone who will be that sort of model parent for you, or friend or lifeguard, while you swim around in the muck, but also pulls you out and towels you off, so you can figure out how to do that for your kids.
Right. And I think in extreme situations where there's just other factors that we're not, considering right now, general attempts at connection will not work. But I think until you have given yourself a plan, whether it's you're following a book that tells you, whatever, here's 10 steps to connecting with your child, or you came up with your own plan, or whatever it is, until you give yourself 6 months of really going at it, I don't think that you can say, oh, you can just throw your hands up in the air and say, oh, I'm done, I can't stand this. Like, give it a go. And I think that you will be pleasantly surprised with how quickly things will turn around. And it's okay if you make a mistake. I yelled yesterday. I'm trying to not be a yeller. But I'm going to do better today. You know, like it's just a day by day, even hour by hour if it needs to be, but you make change, you improve.
Yeah. And I think the question is coming in from someone who sees parents who aren't taking that responsibility on of trying to move forward. They're fine wallowing in the, oh, my kid, you know, I have friends whose one of their grown kids they'll complain about. And it's like, you know, if we haven't gotten to the point where we can find sort of the love for grown kids, you know, like, I don't know what's wrong. I don't know if it's something going on in their lives. I don't know if it's something they're not able to say, you know, to their spouse, or maybe there's even other people in their family who are like angering them or sort of, you know, getting under their skin, and it's just easier to take it out on their kids. I don't know. There's a lot of things that could be going wrong. And your idea of seeking help, I'm glad I'm not the first person to say it, but you know, if your friend Sally doesn't help you wallow around and then pull you out and keep keep you safe and moving forward, then yeah, maybe you need to find someone to talk to. And it may be someone like me, it may be a priest, it may be, you know, a coach of some kind, you know, that someone to give you some perspective.
Honestly, and if it's just, you know, I joked about it before with you, like, make not you know, go into your details about your kids and your struggles, but make conversation with the barista at Starbucks, right? Make conversation with the man that's doing your oil change. You'll be surprised by just connecting with other human beings, how much that'll just put you in a better headspace to connect with your own child, especially if this woman, maybe she is home all the time and doesn't get out much or get that, you know, adult conversation and adult interaction, then yes, it's gonna be harder to connect because you feel like you're just trapped. So you have to find that, however you can get it. And I think that he or she needs to, I don't know, consider everything. Like, are you happy in your job, in your career choice? Do you feel like you're not getting enough self-care? Like, whatever it is, in addition to your plan to connect with your child, you know, budget that for an hour you have a part-time nanny come over so that you get, you know, your nice shower and hot tea by yourself or whatever it is. But try all of that. You can try one at a time, try it all together, but just try. I don't get the people that just stop trying.
Right. I think some people just aren't aware that they're in this place. And if you do catch that reflection in the mirror of, oh my gosh, I was saying this in front of my kid, trying any of those things first, just a simple first step. You don't need to have a map of like the nanny and then the night out and the date night and find a friend and just do one thing. Anything that gives you a step back, a breather, some perspective, something that, like you said, cares for yourself, or something that gives you a chance to maybe even reflect on what you're doing. You know, not bury yourself in something and distract yourself, but something that actually might feed your energy or give you some kind of replenishment or break, you know, in a positive, you know, growth way, not in a break as in like, I'm passed out, like I need sleep, which some people just need. But I think trying any of those things is a great place to start if you do recognize that you're in one of these places where you're overwhelmed with negative feelings for your kids, and it's even coming out sideways, and you're even saying it in front of your kids.
Right. And I think, I mean, of course, like depending on your child's age and what's appropriate for them, but read to your child a book about emotions where it shows the faces and ask them how they're feeling. Have a face chart that you're saying that he's grumpy and grouchy and angry every day. Wake up in the morning, have the chart. After breakfast, go to the chart. Is he still that face or is he a different face? If your kids are older, read how to fill a bucket. Explain to them that when they're doing X, Y, and Z, they're dipping into your bucket. I don't know of the books for older kids and teens because my kids aren't there yet, but I'm sure there are those out there. So again, just find what's going to work for you and for your child. Compare your child to, say, oh, you know how Oscar the Grouch is, always grumpy on Sesame Street? You remind mommy of him, let's make you Elmo. Like, let's find a way to figure out what's happening with you, because it's doing something to me as well. And then we can both kind of move forward.
I love that. I love the Oscar to Elmo scale. I love the Wreck-It Ralph, honestly, because it's not calling your kid a bad kid. It's making a cartoon and funny out of what could be really frustrating. And so I guess the last word for me to say to parents is, if you're gonna work with your kid to move from Oscar to Elmo, don't leave yourself out of the equation. This isn't about changing someone else. It's what can you do to get a different behavior and get a different attitude from your kids. So just keep it all in perspective.
Yeah, you said it so well. There's not much else I would say. I would just say, keep trying. It gets back to the persistence thing we talked about. But don't sell yourself short and say that, oh, it's forever going to be like this, and I'm forever going to be like this, and he's forever going to be like this, and just keep trying to be a better version of yourself. It's not the one thing, but it's one of the things that makes me feel good every day, is that I know I am genuinely trying to better myself. And I would think for most people that would give you a good feeling. And
it will get better.
Yes, definitely.
All right. Thanks, Nicole.
All right. Talk soon.
Thank you for listening to the I Am the Worst Parent Ever podcast. Don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss an episode.